today's Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. A follow-up on Russia's calling it an existential threat if Ukraine were to join NATO. Russia is already neighboring NATO countries, so why would Ukraine becoming another NATO country make it more of an existential threat than it already is in your eyes? And secondly, there has been a lot of talk by European leaders about how Russia's invasion, aggression on Ukraine is going to change the European security architecture, not just today, but for decades to come. I wonder if you could comment on your reaction to that. Thank you.
Yes, we are neighboring NATO countries, and that was the result of cheating by our Western partners, who at a time when the Berlin Wall collapsed, and at the time of the reunification of Germany, were telling us that they would not move beyond borders of the former GDR. And our naive leadership at that time, Gorbachev and Shevardnadze, opted to believe them about it. Now our Western partners are vehemently denying that there was any of such, I wouldn't call it even commitments or pledges, even promises. But documents revealed tell us that that was the case. And again, the naive Soviet leadership believed in it. Now we are ripening the fruit of this naivete. And having indeed NATO countries at our borders. And we know that, you know that, that the NATO infrastructure is moving towards Russian borders as we speak. That they are conducting exercises right on the border of the Russian Federation. We've been offering NATO to come to an agreement to move our troops, even for the exercises, at a certain distance, not to provoke each other. And that appeal has been addressed to NATO a long time ago, to which it never reacted. I remember the last conversation between Lavrov and Stoltenberg here in New York at the high-level segment of the General Assembly in 2021, when at repeated reminders by Lavrov to Stoltenberg about that issue, he was evading the question. He was simply evading the question, as NATO did, and all the countries did. The presence of NATO infrastructure around our borders and in the close proximity to it, of course, it is a threat to us, which is geopolitical. That's why we offered to the USA and NATO to engage in serious dialogue on security guarantees. That offer was made as early as recently as I think October, November this year. We sent our proposals in that regard, which included non-expansion of NATO, non-placement of weapons close to our borders, and moving NATO back to where it was in 1997. Which would be, in our view, a fair solution and would bring us to the state of the security architecture, which would be beneficial for all the participants. But we received a reply which basically denied all our ideas in that regard. We were told that any country has a right to choose their allies freely, of course, meaning Ukraine first of all. But as we said, they are forgetting about another thing which to which they committed in the OSCE summits on the indivisibility of security, which says that security of one country cannot be reached at the expense of the security of the other, and that was a commitment, not just a paragraph in a joint statement. Russian invasion to change European security architecture. I think NATO has changed European security architecture already back after 1997 when it started to expand to the east, contrary to their promises, unfortunately not commitments.
Could you switch on the mic, please?
Sorry. Thank you, Ambassador. Camilla Berglund reporting for Norwegian media, VG. The war is costing more and more civilian life. Today you have bombed Kyiv and there has been several explosions in Kyiv. What are you doing to prevent civilian casualties during your war on Ukraine?
I already said that the reports that are dubbed credible may not be credible at all. We have regular briefings by our Ministry of Defense, which maintains that we are not targeting civilian objects in Ukraine, nor the cities as such. So these reports about bombing of Kharkiv or explosions in Kyiv should be verified. We strongly doubt, given the number of fakes that are spreading these days about the issue, as I told you. Explosions in Kyiv is not true, because if there are any explosions, these are in the suburbs of Kyiv, as far as I know, and they refer to the military infrastructure that the Russian armed forces are targeting.
But we have reporters on ground reporting that there are Russian bombings in Kyiv. So
in Kyiv, I do not have this information. We saw some footages of buildings partly destroyed, but it was then said and confirmed by our military that it was not our missiles, but either a plane of Ukraine or a wrong missile that went into that building. We didn't bomb residential areas of Kyiv.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. I'm Katsujiro Inoguchi, Japanese TV Asahi. So you say this is a military operation, not a war. So when and how do you end this operation? And is there a scenario where you would use nuclear weapons?
How do we end the operation? I said what President Putin said on it. As soon as we have understanding from the Ukrainian authorities that they are prepared to demilitarize it and to denazify, if I may use that kind of a verb in English, that'll be a step towards the end of it. On the use of nuclear weapons, God forbid it, but President Putin ordered to put our nuclear force on high alert because we saw some disturbing statements from NATO leaders in that regard in relation to Russia. So that is a kind of deterrence that we're exercising.
Thank you, Ambassador, for this. We noticed recently that Kuwait supported the draft resolution condemning Russia. Lebanon condemned Russia, but the UAE abstained on that very draft resolution. And the UAE is just taking up the presidency of the Security Council. What do you expect from UAE and the Arab countries regarding this this crisis, and is Russia going to respond to the latest step by the U.S. by expelling 12 diplomats? Thank you.
What we expect from the UAE during their presidency, we expect that the UAE will uphold the integrity of the office of the presidency, and that it will conduct it in a smooth way, and according to, we know that UAE has a strong diplomatic school, and we know their staff, and I'm sure that they will do it hopefully with flying colors in the present circumstances. What was the last question?
Are we going to respond?
How is Russia going to respond to the expel?
Well, I'm sure that the response will follow, because it's a diplomatic practice which provides for a tit for tat. It's not our choice. We didn't initiate it, and I think that the answer will be given, but it's not for me to decide. I have to apologize to you. We are finishing our press conference. Sorry that it was short today, but I think you will bear with me because of the circumstances.
Ambassador, are these diplomats who are being expelled diplomats whose visas are coming to an end?
Sorry?
Are these diplomats whose US visas are coming to an end?
I didn't understand. What was
As
it?
in, are their visas running out and they have to leave anyway, or?
So look, we have many diplomats in the mission who do not have visa extensions. They can stay in the U.S. and continue their job. What they cannot do is to leave they can leave the country, but that's 100% guarantee that they will not come back, because they will not get their visa extensions. Who of those 12 have valid U.S. visas today, and who are not, I have no idea yet, because I didn't see the names.
Okay, we appreciate any further information you can share.